Hello and welcome to Assemblies of the World with me, Anna Isabel. And I am delighted to welcome my guest today, who is Tao Qazi. Hello, Tao.
Hi, Anna. Thank you for inviting me to talk with you on this beautiful sunny day.
It's very appropriate that you should be outside, given that we met outdoors once upon a time. It seems a long time ago now, as I was walking in the woods and you were playing this magical instrument. And I thought I'd been carried off somewhere, some other magical dimension. And then I found where the sound was coming from, and it was you. So there you are. And in fact, the reason I've invited you to talk with me today is because there's a lot of talk about the divine feminine. And I thought you would be a good person to talk about the divine masculine. And
Hmm.
I think it might be good for you to tell the audience what you do, because then they'll understand why it was that I asked you to come on and talk about the divine masculine.
Sure. Okay. Well, there's many labels, but I like to just stay quite grounded with I'm a man of service and I am here to open spaces with people to allow them to speak freely from their hearts around the traumas that have happened in their life, the things that they're suffering with, i.e., all sorts of addictions. And the work I do really enables people to very safely allow themselves to become vulnerable, to really start expressing. And it's interesting that we're talking about this topic of the male masculine because I feel it's really needed. There's such a confusion with um, these circles, and a lot of people are very fixated that therapies or spaces like I offer are primarily just for females because it isn't. It's for everyone. It's for everyone. So yeah, that's what I am and what I do in short.
And you also have been training in shamanic practices.
Yeah, I am very blessed to be given the permissions to work with master plants here in England. And this is really where a lot of the bigger trauma work is dealt with because it's with the individuals and the plants. And my responsibility is to care for people in these moments, sing very sacred songs, and play musical instruments while they are submersed with sound and frequencies and going through their own internal engineering, as it were, the inner engineering, going through some things and finding some peace again with the help and guidance of the medicines.
What is it that you mean by master plants? Because I think that needs a bit of explanation.
Okay. So the words translate to one major master plant called ayahuasca. She is one of the elder of these plants, and this medicine is a special tea which is thousands of years old. And in the indigenous circles, they were very much locking this sacred medicine to only the indigenous or blood related people. And about 35 years ago, they opened the doors for the world to come and sit in circle, which we call a prayer, and drink these medicines. And what happens with these special teas is it enables the individual to go within to basically become the best psychiatrist, psychotherapist, counselor that they could pay for. Them themselves, their sort of inner self conversation, the higher self, and all the above enables them, with the guidance of the spirit of the medicine, to resolve many things that have been causing problems in their life in this present moment.
Yes, and I think this is the beauty of what you do, and it is very linked with what I do as an analytical hypnotherapist. It's about enabling the person to go where it hurts,
Mm,
find that healing. Uh,
mm.
two different methods, but we're both working towards the same goal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned that there's this perception that this type of work is for women, because I think most therapists would agree that unless they are especially cultivating a practice that is dedicated to men, they will
Mm-hmm.
find that it's mostly women who are
Mm-hmm.
at their door.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that that is the case with you. And yet here we are in a time when we really need men to deal with their own inner turmoil, enabling them to stand strong. So, from your perception, then, maybe we need to talk about what what the divine masculine is and
Mm-hmm.
how that relates to men in our time.
Mm-hmm. So, before I begin, this is really just my point of view. Yeah. So, it's how I see it and have come to understand. So, stepping into the divine masculine is, first of all, acknowledging that it is okay to be a man. And this is something in this day and age I'm finding that many men are very confused of, because the shift in especially the Western world has changed, and because the feminine is so powerful, the feminine has become almost the provider of the home, right? The protector of the home, and the man has almost become uh, very recluse and confused of how to express. So the divine masculine is really a concept of confidence. Confidence in standing in to a different voice, standing in the different physiology of the feminine, and being able to be confident in having a different stance to the feminine without fear of being challenged. And I feel there are many, many needs that the masculine right now needs. And first of all, it is a nourishment, a almost an energetic hug and encouragement that it's okay to not feel good, not feel good. Because this is also the conflict that I am seeing with men, the struggles with authenticity. I don't know if it's okay or safe for me to actually acknowledge that I am not spiritually well. So the times that we're living right now, I feel there's a lot of forgotten understandings. And when I sit with many men, I am basically speaking from the two parts of myself, the feminine and the masculine at the same time, to help them understand that they are in a safe space and that they can start to acknowledge the two within. Because there's also the other side. We have the very masculine men, especially out on the internet right now, who are influencing, in my point of view, a very negative stance of a man, a harmful man, a manipulative man. So this is why I feel there's a lot of confusion of what does it mean to be a man? How do I represent myself as a good man who can support the family in a good way? So there's a lot of work needed to help men specifically settle into their vulnerability. But I would say that the divine that lives in everything and everyone is also male and female. So it is also quite difficult to watch men understand they have a feminine side. They don't understand it, they can't get their head around it, and it's confusing for them. And sometimes this is where, in a relationship concept, a lot of women have stood on their neck in a way. So now the man is very lost with his place, and he doesn't understand how to tap back into his masculinity in a correct manner, because there is also some men who feel that they must do it with force. They must, I am a man, I must step forward, I must be dominant, I must be loud, I must make my woman quiver. So there's so much confusion around these concepts of a man being allowed to be a man. I always like to tell the people I work with that to be a man, you must be with a woman, right? Because it's the same the other way around. You know, to be a woman, you must really want to be with a man, because it's about the two always, you know, being, you know, together. And when you can acknowledge the female as a female in a non-sexual way or a non-sexist way, like, for example, oh, my woman, she cleans my house, she does this, she does that, she's my woman. That doesn't mean she's a woman, right? That is a masculine energy that we're trying to come away from. So acknowledging a woman's needs is really what I'm meaning. You know, what is she saying? Are you holding that space of listening? And the flip for the man is having a woman who can appreciate the man being the man, if that makes sense. Yeah. So
I think it's interesting because, again, I mean, so much of what you're saying is interesting, but it's really important. It's more than interesting, it's important because what you're highlighting is a tremendous confusion about male energy. And there is, I believe now, a great deal of confusion about female energy too.
mm-hmm,
Because if there's confusion about one, there's going to be confusion about the other.
mm-hmm,
And this is not about gender, nor is it about gender politics,
mm-hmm,
but it is about energy that one sex is more attuned with than the other,
mm-hmm,
if we can put it like that.
mm-hmm,
And as you say, you know, men have a feminine side, women have a masculine side. And we need to understand the two energies so we can balance them within ourselves, and then we can balance them with each other.
mm-hmm,
And I think it's a very this is a perennial issue, as in it has been around for a very, very long time. So we have misogynist views which disempower women and limit them. And then we have views which are really emasculating men, also disempowering them, by blaming them for all the evils of the world. And that is toxic ideology, which has filtered down and affected everybody, irrespective of what sex they might be.
mm-hmm.
So it is important that we start making a distinction between aggressive behavior and masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that, we have to separate men from the very aggressive and force-oriented top-down politics, which has been with us since ancient times. Because it's only when we take men away from that we can see, okay, this is not a man issue. This is an ideology issue. And therefore, men are then free from blame and free from a stereotype that basically says what it is to be a man. It is the only way to be a man is to be a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, is a fundamental challenge that we face. What do you feel?
Yeah, I I agree. It's the confused identity. You know, I mean, a lot of this programming really stems from the upbringing, right? The family home, it all begins here. Yeah. So let's use the example of a single mum raising children. So, there's going to be a big difference with that son uh, compared to another household who has the father and the mother who are living the best they can with good harmony and good teachings, right? But the children are going to be different. The children are going to be different, and they're going to grow up different with a different point of view, and they're going to be a little bit confused because with the child that doesn't have the father figure, he hasn't got the understanding of the roles that he should be falling into. So the identity is what's lost, and it's like you said, it's a good point, because then when people, because this is what I am finding with people, okay, I must step into my masculinity, and then they're instantly going to the warrior, violent aggressor, because they assume that's what that means. But really, I really strongly feel it's as simple as this. It's being a human being that can sit there and understand emotions, right? That's all. And it's not even the masculine or feminine, it's just a human being. Because this is what I feel is the problem, is that we are too busy creating different groups. And this is where this information has got lost. So now people don't understand, especially with all of the different genders and all of the different things. It's even more confusing for the poor man, if we're staying on topic, for the poor man to find his group, right? Because the groups that he thinks he should join is not actually his people. It's not his people. So it's very challenging. But I feel, I need to say this because I think there's something which I heard the other day, which I found really interesting. It was actually in a movie, and this man was teaching his son, and his son came to the table and said, I think I've met a woman. I don't know what to do." And it was a good masculine role model. This guy was a cowboy, right? Very masculine. But yet he said the best thing he could say to his son: listen. And when you finish listening, listen again. And when you finish listening, listen again. And this is really what men need to learn to do, is listen to themselves, instead of, because there's also the masculine approach of, I need to be seen, right? I need to be powerful. I need to be better than, and my watch must be expensive. So there's all of this stuff which is confusing the essence of a man, right? Because if you take all of these things away, you strip the car away, you strip the clothes, you strip the, who is the person? Who is the person? Well, he's confused and he doesn't even know what a man means. So it is a need, what we are doing and what we're talking about. It's really important that we can help many, many men, come and sit together and learn what we're talking about. What does it mean to them? Because the thing is, I talk of my point of view, so it might not resonate 100%, even with another man, right? They might challenge my point of view, which is okay. So my question would be, well, how do you perceive yourself as a man? How do you announce yourself as a man? How does it look for you? And then it's a case of helping that individual with maybe some pointers with behaviors to enhance that, because there is good human beings, and I'm not using that word good men out there, right? There's good human beings out there, yeah? And unfortunately, there is more people saying the masculine is bad. The masculine is bad. You know, the men out there are predators. The men out there only want what they want, and so on. So there's a lot of learning to be done by all human beings to come back together again. To come back together again, because until this can happen, this concept of masculine divine energy is lost, right? Because, like I said at the beginning, it is a case of what I like to teach is let's begin with the confidence. Let's begin with your confidence, and let's see how this unfolds with expression and relationship of talking, and we can see you blossom and see where we need to help you.
I think confidence is certainly at the heart of everything, because confidence is strength.
Mm-hmm.
So a confident person doesn't need to prove themselves, and a confident person doesn't need to force themselves upon others or their view upon others.
Mm-hmm.
And a confident person does not need to control. So I think this is at the heart of everything. And I also like the fact that you're talking about what it is to be human, because I think that when we deny either masculine or feminine energy within ourselves, we are only half human. There's something missing within us. And I think that this is really very important, that we bring that together within ourselves, because without that, we're not going to be able to be in harmony with each other. Not with members of our own sex, and not with members of the other sex. So I think it's really vital. And it also, listening to you, made me think about the medieval literature. So a while back, when I was studying medieval literature, and we were reading about the chivalric code. That was a code by which men were expected to live. So it was the ideal, so that they could come back from being the knight in battle, and they would know how to then be in a relationship with a woman, so that it wasn't about being dominant or physically overpowering. So there was this idea, this recognition that, yeah, men are physically much more powerful than women, and therefore there needs to be a modification to allow for that. And I think obviously things are different, and I don't mean that that's exactly as it should be. But what I'm saying is that there was an acknowledgement that part of being a confident man was to be able to be softer in different contexts. And, even biologically, many people will not know that when men become fathers, in the first 6 months to a year, the testosterone levels drop, because it then means that they are less irritable, when that baby's crying in the night, and they are, they're softer. So there does need to be an acknowledgement of that soft energy within. It's really very important. And in the same way as there's so many psychological studies that have shown the role that fathers play is huge in the development of a child's language, and in the confidence of a child. We say particularly boys, but it's not just boys.
No.
Just the fact that men tend to play more physically with their children is really important, because it's encouraging the child to experiment, push boundaries, go, and that builds confidence. So this is such a vital thing, that men understand that there is a role that they have, that they are needed, that this role is necessary, both as fathers, but also as partners, as husbands, and also within society.
Mm.
It's so important, but we need them to find that confidence, I think, because so many are feeling the opposite.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, this is really the beginning step, is allowing someone. So before you can teach someone, what we're talking about with the feminine that lives with you, the masculine that lives with you, you are a man. Okay, well, first of all, who are you? Who are you? And what have you learned in your upbringing of these roles, so that you can have some comparisons? And I also like, the thing that you said, because it's very, very important. When men are with children, whether they're their own children or around children, you can certainly see the change happen. You can see the change happen because there is I believe, a DNA duty of being a protector as a man, right? It's in you. And I've met many different variations of men who would be more so tapping into the feminine, but in the moment, the DNA is there. The DNA is there. So it's lost information, really, is what we're talking about, right? It's memory through circumstances, relationships, surroundings, and all the above, which has stripped away this concept of the masculine divine. Yeah. So it's a case of helping people come back to some of the memories, even if they haven't had these role models. There is somebody else that they can look at and see as guidance of how to fall in line with the way they wish to become. Yeah. That's sort of how I can put that.
And I also just want to add that in no way are we denigrating the role and the predicament that single mothers find themselves in,
Of
because
course,
they, absolutely heroic efforts on the
of
part
course.
of mothers. What we are saying is that, well, there is a really important role for men. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason we have single mothers is because something's gone wrong in the
Mm-hmm.
relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we do have many men who are not wanting to engage with the role of being a father.
Of course, and I'm afraid I'll jump in here with this. That, from my point of view, is because of the immaturity, right? Because they have not grown up into the responsibility of becoming a father. And it's overwhelmingly scary for them, so they push away. But to give the flip of the coin of what you said, because I have many in my care, there's many women who have left the men with the children. So again, bringing it back to the conversation of what we said, human beings, yeah? It doesn't matter the name of the sex. It's just human beings, because we can compare all day long. There is still going to be, the good, the ugly, and the bad, and all the rest of it. But there is a need of a man and a woman in a child's life, right? And you only have to read Gabor Mate's books to understand the psychology of the results, if not there. So Teal Swan is also another good one who very much explains in a higher level of the mother playing the father and the mother, how that realistically isn't possible, right? But she's doing everything the best she can to give all of the protection and the support, but there is still a missing of a masculine. There's still a missing, and that's what the children will effectively, as they grow up, have as a slight void. Now, not all children are going to suffer in any circumstances. We need to say that as well, right? It's not all, black and white, because I am in awe of all women who step into this responsibility because, and this as a man, embarrasses me that there are these men, the opposite to me. I have children and I'm not with the partners, but I'm with my children and I'm also having a really good relation with the mothers of my children, right? I've chosen to step into this good masculine behavior. Yeah. And again, like all groups, I'm afraid the masculine groups of other men behaving the same isn't going to help that man change and start thinking differently because, the information is just going to consolidate his behavior. But, there is many beautiful people doing the best that they can, the best that they can. And there is also this, male or female, due to a relationship, because the man can overdominate, manipulate, and the feminine is just destroyed, right? The energy's gone. The essence of her sacredness is taken away because of many awful behaviors. So, she's almost a very much a lost soul. And it's the same the other way around. There's many women who step into a very masculine, abusive way to the point that the man doesn't even know what sex he is, let alone turning into it. Because I don't believe that a man turns into a female. It's not possible. It's just the identity has been stripped away so much that the confusion is there. It's the confusion with what you're left with.
Yeah. And I think I also would like to say that the absent father is not new to our time. Societies through the ages have often taken men away from their families, whether it's through work or through war. Women have often been left to raise families on their own. And so, again, comes back to what I said. This is centuries worth of, I don't like the word programming, but it's centuries worth of experience, which is really taking us away, or has taken us away from the pure essence of divine feminine and masculine energy. And I think that it comes back to what I was saying. We all need to be freed from that baggage, which comes from top-down politics that does rather well in separating people and separating families and treating or brutalizing men by sending them off to wars and etc. And in order to be free from these very toxic, controlling powers, we need to begin to come back to understanding that this separation need not exist, and that the two energies need to be harmonized within ourselves and with each other. And I think that when we get that right, when we understand that, we can all be free.
Yeah, I feel if we can teach people to live in the present moment more, right? Understanding the times we are, then they can let go of the conditioning, the belief systems that have been subjected to them, male and female, to be looking at actually what serves me in this moment. Yeah. And this information, that they're all in books, right? And many people feel, how do I get this information? How do I know this? Who do I need to pay to give me this? It's in books. There's many books, right? Many, many, many books of beautiful informations of how to take yourself into learning, coming into, okay, I'm in 2026. But for some reason, my programming, I know you don't like using that word, but like my computer system with these belief systems is running on 1940, right? And here I am,
Ancient Greece.
yeah, here I am trying to struggle my way through because I haven't been sent to war yet because it's not happening. I don't think. I don't know if I'm going to get a knock on the door. So, but again, we're talking about the DNA, right? So it's the ancestral stuff which has epigenetically been passed down. So here we are. We're left with the confusion, because yeah, the role of man, right, from the beginning of time is again in our DNA. So the protector, the feeder, the hunter, it's who we are. It's who we are. And it's in us. It's in every man, that structure on an RDA and a DNA level. Now, the same with the feminine, the gatherer, right? The nurturer, the gatherer, the protector of the wonderful medicines to heal her home. It's in every single woman. It's in every single woman. So understanding these things, and then the other important thing I feel it's important to add into our conversation is men understanding when they are with men, how they speak, right? Because there's a different language men speak to when women in a group speak. And it can be very confusing for some men to switch group, but then coming with that masculine language and then being confronted because they are feeling attacked, as in the feminine circles. So it's a case of learning as a human being how to communicate with the human beings that are in front of you. Because there is a time and place, right? There's a time and place that the play, the banter, the silliness which some men, like to humiliate with fun other men, right? But not all men can tolerate this, right? Again, we're coming back into what you've said around the bully, really, the masculine bully, yeah? Because it's coming back to the school playground again for me. I need to be better than you. And in a way, I'm going to verbally destroy you in front of others because it makes me feel good. So again, there's so much confusion with what does this mean? The responsibility of me being a man. Why do I feel I need to harm another human being? Why? So the same with the beautiful women, the language that women speak, like the Meadow Report, which people can look up. And when women speak to other women and the other woman doesn't give the Meadow Report back, they're instantly like, oh, okay, what's happening here? So it's understanding this. There is definitely 100% a feminine way of speaking and a masculine way of speaking. But when a man is speaking with a woman, the man needs to step in, right, to the feminine as well as the masculine. So you're not losing the identity. I'm not a man in this moment. No, I am a man, but I am able to tap into the two so that we can communicate. Otherwise, the man will always come as the aggressor and the woman will always feel the victim. And we can flip that as well. Again, I'm always coming to come back to the human being concept. We can flip it all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. Because of course, but we are also in a time where many women have stepped into masculine energy and have lost their connection with their own femininity.
Of course.
And I think women like that often feel that way because they did not have anyone to protect them. And so they're extremely defensive. And I would say they are eviscerators. That's, there's many a woman like that. And
Mhm, mhm.
you were talking about the playground. It is so not the case that it's only boys who are bullies,
Of
because
course, of course.
oh my goodness, the number of clients I've had
Mm,
being bullied by other girls in school. Uh,
mm,
it's really very disheartening, but it happens. And I think, you know, you talked about confidence, and I feel here that we ought to talk about power,
mm, mm,
because this is really about understanding our own power and learning how to be in that power without being destructive.
mhm,
You watch dogs play, and confident dogs change their style of play when they are playing with smaller dogs. In
mm,
fact, there's a term for it. They handicap themselves.
mhm.
And you see it. I was watching a video of a husky playing with a Yorkshire Terrier. You could, the other day, and it was wonderful to see how she controlled herself so that
Mhm, mhm,
the Yorkie felt safe playing with
mhm,
her.
mhm,
She wasn't going to be overwhelmed, dominated, stepped on. And the Yorkie had a fabulous time.
mm.
That's because the husky was aware of her power.
Her abilities of harm. Her
And
abilities of
was
harm.
aware of her
Yeah,
power,
yeah.
and she she was able to control it.
Mhm,
That ultimately is what we want. Is we want
mhm.
everyone, men and women,
Yeah.
to be able to step into that power, own it, not be afraid of it,
Mhm.
understand that they have it, and then use it
Yeah,
constructively.
yeah.
That's what it comes back to.
Yeah, I mean, so using the analogy you've said, turning it into the roll around as men do, right? Even men, right? They all of a sudden are at barbecue and they laugh and punch, right? Why are you punching me when you're laughing? And it's the masculine way. So the next minute they're having a roll around, right? But then there are some men who absolutely understand because I feel it comes to respect, right? Is the thing. I respect you. And I know I'm more powerful than you and stronger than you, and I can hurt you, but I respect you before I love you. So we're going to, like you said, disable myself so that I can't do that. But yet the other side, I'm afraid, again, the same scenario, and that man is going to have to hurt that person. And this is why I feel society has lost so much, because it is not okay to harm another human being. Whether you do this by consciously thinking of things, subjecting it as a thought and putting it out there and talking to others, it's the same thing. You're putting it out there to the ethos. Or whether you are directly in front of that person, verbally, spiritually, or physically, it's just not okay. It's not okay. And I don't feel the world will ever change, right? But what we can do is one by one make a difference by teaching people the respect. Yeah, the respect of your power, the respect of your strength. Look at you, you're 6'5", and he's 4 foot. Like, what? Why do you feel the need to dominate? Why? And most of the time, the bigger the person, the smaller they are inside, right? And I know they are very much riddled with all of these fears that their behavior has to step into this strong masculine of causing harm because I'm a man. But it's not okay. And I believe there's definitely a shift in society because there's many observations where I am seeing many men of shapes and sizes stepping into this and saying, stop, that's not allowed. That's not enough. And they don't even know these people. So I do believe there is some real good changing here. There's just the topic of what we're talking about is how to teach the man to be comfortable in announcing, I'm a man. I'm a man. I fart, I burp, I'm a man. But also women do as well.
Uh, it really is coming back to just bringing that confidence back to those who feel that they have been displaced and that there is no place for them in society. And I am coming across more and more men who are feeling that way, which is why I approached you to have this conversation. But also, we talked about you doing a workshop along these lines. So I think that when you are ready to do that, we will sort out a date and tell everyone to come and see you.
Of course, I'd be honored to come and join and help and sit with other men and listen to them, listen to them and understand them and help them maybe understand a different point of view, because one of the things with the ego of the masculine is that they cannot learn, right? And this is feminine, this stuff, right? So they're already challenging themselves before they even come. But if you bring everything back to I am a human being, then it allows you to walk through the door. You just need to walk through the door and come and learn to listen, learn to speak, learn to share, learn to allow yourself safely feel some things, and there's many people doing what we do. And, I encourage every human to go and get some support, go and get some help and find the way of understanding your feminine and masculine that lives within you.
Perfect. Tao, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation today.
It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
So if anyone out there is listening and they want to learn more about your work with master plants or anything else that you're doing, how do they do that?
So it's my full name, taoqazi.com. So it's TAOQAZI.com. Google me, look me up. I'm all over the internet, and you'll find your way to me if you are ready.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll be putting a link to that in the description box.
Perfect. Take care.
And thank you all for watching. Do remember that in these difficult times, you are definitely not alone. And if you have not already joined the Community Assembly of the British Isles, you will find links in the description box. It's very true that together we are stronger. Until next time, goodbye.